This sector is now under my control. Stand down and prepare for Vega occupation.
Hello everyone, this is Captain Soban. Welcome aboard the Starship in Normal Prize for another episode of Homeworld FX Galaxy Ship Showcase Series. And yes, before you say anything, that is Sejuk in the background. We will get to him later. But today we are checking out the Progenitors, the Progenitor faction, and everything that you can do with them and their strengths and weaknesses when it comes to this mod. So, obviously one of the big strengths is you can build the most powerful ship in the game, Sejuk. But again, like I said, we'll get more into that here in a bit. First off, let's start out with the fighter class ships. So here in front of us we have the Panthers. Or the Partners, not Panthers. Panthers is a football team. So the Partners in this game kind of have a dual purpose. They are your reconnaissance vessel, and they are your main fighter versus fighter combat vessel. They're not really strong against large like dogfighters like the Interceptors or like ships of that nature, but they can take out other strike craft no problem, like bombers or Lancers or stuff like that. But so just keep that in mind. They are reconnaissance squadron and they can be used for fighting, but they don't specialize in killing fighters. And next after that we have the Wasps. Now the Wasps actually look pretty cool. I like the way they look. You get that menacing eye in the front. That menacing AI controlled eye. But the Wasps in this group are your main bombers. They are designed to take out capital ships, not really designed to fight other fighters. I believe they launch like plasma bombs from these little things above their heads. But they are pretty cool. I do like the way they look. They basically look like drones that have been upgraded with plasma weapons. And that's all the fighters you can build. You can only build 2 squadrons on the Progenitor side, so let's take a look at the Corvette classes because we have quite a bit of them on this version. So first up are the light movers, which are basically movers with like some of their armor stripped down and have a big weapon on top of them. Your light movers are your main anti-fighter Corvette squadron. So they are good at taking out other fighters. They don't have the firepower to take down Corvettes or the armor. This is also the only Corvette squadron you get in this version. So do also keep that in mind, but they're only good against fighters. They're not really good against any other type of ships. So next we have the mover, who looks pretty much the same as they did in the in Homeworld 2, if you guys ever played that campaign. This is your main anti-Corvette ship, so he's good against going other types of Corvettes. They don't have the firepower, or they don't have the tracking to take down other fighters, and don't have the firepower to take down any other capital ships. Might be able to get rid of some frigate class ships that aren't designed to fight Corvettes, like, you know, infiltrator frigates or stuff like that. But they're mainly designed to fight other Corvette class. And there's that little evil eye again. I love looking for that around these things. So then after that we have the heavy mover, which is like the normal mover, except it has upgraded weapons on top of it, kind of like giant shoulder pads. But your heavy mover is designed to fight other frigates and capital ships, because I believe these are like plasma weapons or whatnot, so they're really bad at tracking fighters and Corvettes. They're only good against slow-moving large targets. And when it comes to speed, I believe they're the slowest Corvette. Yeah, the normal mover is a little bit quicker, and the light movers are a lot quicker. So that's one thing that helps them with the roles that they've been assigned. And next we have the capture mover, which is probably one of my favorite Progenitor ships because it reminds me of the salvage Corvette from the Kushan side, because it's got these 2 gigantic magnets that it hooks up to the enemy ship and then takes it away. Obviously, in this version they use it to board the enemy ship and capture it, but that's the way it would work if it was like in Homeworld 1 or something. And I do love this like menacing eye that they all have. Looks so cool. Okay. That is all of the Corvette class ships we have. Next we have the Frigate class, which the first one we're going to look at is the Guard, which is probably, I like this design a lot too, because it has these like little, I don't know if these are maneuvering engines, but they just kind of sit here and pulsate over time, as if it's like, you know, calculating how to keep itself stable in orbit. I love it. And it has this giant cannon up here in front, and it's got another one in the back defending it. The Guard is your main anti-fighter, anti-Corvette frigate class ship, because these weapons it launches do, and when they explode, they do an AoE damage. You can actually read it right here if you guys want to. So it does a pretty good job at killing small ships that are in groups. So large squadrons of small ships, this thing really specializes against. But it doesn't really have the firepower to take down other frigate class ships, so anything bigger than a Corvette, this thing's probably not going to survive that well. Okay, and the next one we have is the Welder class. This is your main anti-Corvette frigate class ship because it has this giant cannon here in the front that shoots pulsar lasers at the enemy. So it's really good at targeting Corvette class ships. It's a little bit too slow to target fighters, and it doesn't do enough damage to really hurt frigates. So if you have a large squadron of Corvettes coming in, this guy will be the one you want to use. It's got that cool Keeper engine in the back. Indeed. And then our next frigate is the Demolisher, which has those little ion cannons in the front that the Keeper has. I believe they work the same way the Keeper does too. Like they'll activate and then they'll strengthen, and then they'll weaken, and then they'll strengthen. So he's very good at taking out other frigate class ships, and in large groups can easily take down destroyer class ships, because it does do a decent amount of damage. It also looks pretty cool. I like all of the Progenitor designs in this mod. They all look really cool. Okay, and our last one is the Arburator, which is this thing back here that's been doing this pulsating thing this entire time. Now the Arburator ship doesn't actually do any damage whatsoever, but it sends out this pulse signal to all nearby ships with allowing them to do additional damage. So it's more of a ship that buffs up the rest of your fleet. It can also be cloaked, so you can hide it somewhere, like in an asteroid belt and whatnot, and defend it, and then use the buff to help your fleet fight off the enemy. So pretty cool ship. I love the design too. It definitely looks ancient. So really, really cool. Anyways, that's all the frigate class ships. The next one we have are the destroyer class. And there's only one destroyer class for this team, which is the Keeper. The Keeper probably acts more as a battle carrier than an actual destroyer, because you can dock ships into it and then launch them whenever the Keeper is in danger. And the Keeper's main weapon is these ion cannons in the front, which I believe work the same way as in Homeworld 2, where they excuse me, they launch and then they intensify to do more damage, weaken, and then intensify and then weaken, and then just go in that pattern until the enemy is dead. I believe that's how they work. And I believe after that it doesn't really have any other defenses other than the ships that it comes with, because the Keeper does also come with a couple attack drones it can use to help even the score when it comes to enemies using other ships other than capital ships. Now, one thing the Keeper does have is it does have a defense field, which when activated,
defense field powered up,
it will make the Keeper do this, and then during this time while it's activated, it's invulnerable to all damage. So with keeping that in mind, you can actually use a strategy where you can grab a couple Keepers, get the enemy's attention, activate this ability while the enemies are attacking the Keeper, and then you get the rest of your fleet coming around to do a massive amount of damage while the Keepers are absorbing all the damage. That is a strategy you can definitely use with these type of ships. You do also have to time it correctly, because it does take a while for that ability to recharge. Actually, it tells you down here. I forgot about that. Okay, and then the next ship is the Arsenal ship. This is technically considered a battle cruiser, but I consider it more of a destroyer class. as a long-range artillery destroyer class because of the fact that it only has one weapon, I believe, and it's a phased ion cannon, kind of like the Dreadnought, but it's not near as powerful as the Dreadnought, but it also has a lot more range than the Dreadnought. So he can definitely be used far away to do a massive amount of damage against capital ships. Now again, I don't think it has any other defenses, so it's extremely vulnerable to fighters and corvettes and any fast-moving targets that can outrun his gun or outrun his maneuverability. But he can definitely help out your fleet if you really need it from an extreme distance. Okay, and then next we have the Dreadnought, which is the main battle cruiser of the Progenitor side, and just like in Homeworld 2, it has that powerful phase ion cannon in the front. It has that turret in the also in the front that does a massive amount of damage against frigates because it's a rapid plasma bomb launcher, and then it also has these little defensive things on top to protect it against fighters and corvettes. Now, again, the main weakness of the Dreadnought is the fact that it has this giant plasma cannon. If you can avoid the plasma cannon, you can take down the Dreadnought. Not really with ease because of the other defensive weapons it has, but it can definitely make it easier to fight it. So like using like destroyer classes and then just moving them around to avoid the cannon is a good way to actually take down the Dreadnought. But anything that comes in front of this Dreadnought will probably die. It's very powerful. And then the last ship that the last combat ship that you can build in the game is Sejuk, which is the ultimate which is the most powerful ship in the game. And the Sejuk has that powerful ion beam in the front that does a massive amount of damage to anything that gets in front of it. I believe it also has some of those long-range pulse turrets stacked around it. I think it has like three of them on each side, which do a massive amount of damage to anything that gets near it. So again, the main weakness of Sejuk is the same weakness the Dreadnought has. If you can outmaneuver that ion cannon and just keep like circling around and causing the Sejuk to like spin in circles, then you can use your other craft to take care of it while it's distracted. So it is very strong, it's very deadly, but that is the big weakness of Sejuk and the Dreadnought on the Progenitor side. Okay, now you can't exactly build platforms as the Progenitors, so we're not going to be covering that. We're going to go straight to the non-combat ships. We'll be talking about them for a bit. So the first non-combat ship you can build is called the Phase Prism, and the Phase Prism is basically a walking teleporter. You can build like fighter, corvettes, frigates, I believe. Nope, you can't actually build any capital ships. But you can build fighters, corvettes, and frigates, and basically what it's doing is it's sending a signal to the homeworld saying that, hey, we need a frigate-class ship, and then they send one in as you pay RUs for transport. At least that's my headcanon. I don't know if that's exactly how it works, but they do just appear through this teleporter as if they're, fully functional. They're not actually built. So phase prisms are pretty much your main source of production capability as the Progenitor when you're building smaller class ships. So just need to keep that in mind when actually producing this. And then the other one we have over here is the Hand That Shapes, which is technically your carrier class ship. You can only build one of these, so do keep that in mind. The Hand That Shapes can build everything from destroyer all the way down to the fighters. So it's basically kind of just like another way to produce more ships. So it helps them produce production levels when you're trying to pump out ships during alien invasions. Alien invasions, yeah, listen to me. Other factions invading you. So that, and then we also have the Frigate, which in this mod is your mothership. This is basically the thing that you start out with. I think you start out with a Hand That Shapes, the Frigate, and then one of those prism gates, and of course a couple harvesters. But the important thing about the Balcor Gate, you can't build anything that's lower than a destroyer class vessel. So no frigates, no corvettes, no fighters, only destroyer class vessels and the pyramids, which I'll be going over here shortly. And then of course the core subsystems, which we'll talk about now. So as you go through the research tree, you have to build these pyramids, and they unlock technology which allow you to construct additional ships. So for instance, the first one you get is the photon bomb. This allows you to build the core base generator, which is this, which enables the construction of phase prisms and movers. But also by building this, you unlock the wasps and the light mover. And then after that, you're able to build the next one, which is the phase cannon, which unlocks the heavy mover guard ships that you can build. And then you have the pulsar cannon, which unlocks the welders and keepers. And then the ion cannon, which unlocks demolishers and keepers. So I think you need both of these for keepers. And then after that, you can build a hyperspace force module, which provides the hyperspace inhibitor on the Balcor Gate. Because one of the interesting things about this faction is the Balcor Gate, and once you build Sejuk, are always able to be shown up on the map. You can see them anywhere, so you always know where the Progenitors are. So this prevents enemies from hyperspacing directly on your Balcor Gate to destroy it, because the Balcor Gate can't protect itself, and it has no guns. And once you lose the Balcor Gate, then you lose the ability...
Exhausted fleet. Moving on.
You lose the ability to build these pyramids, and you lose the ability to build your super large capital ships, because you can only build the Arsenal ship, Dreadnought, and Sejuk
Standing by.
from the Balcor Gate. I'm going to go ahead and mute the Harvester's speech, because they're going to start saying that a lot because we're running out of our use. And I believe the third one you can build, the Internal Force. This allows you to build your Dreadnought and the Super Pulsar Cannon Pyramid, which unlocks Sejuk. And this also gives the ability to ping on the map using the Balcor Gate. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. And now as you go through and build each one of these pyramids, which I'll show up down here. As you build each one of these pyramids, they unlock new technologies. If you lose one of these pyramids, like let's say we lose our array cannon, then we won't be able to build the Arsenal ship or the Dreadnought. And then if we lose the ion cannon, you won't be able to build the demolishers or the keepers until you rebuild that. And then if you lose the Balcor Gate, then you're just stuck without those technologies. So the Balcor Gate and pyramids are very, very, very important for this faction in order to keep operating properly. It's one of their biggest weaknesses, other than the fact that their super capitals have powerful ion cannons that can be easily outmaneuvered if you time it correctly. Okay, I think the only thing left we have to talk about are the non-combat ships, which we only have 3. We have, of course, the Harvester, which looks pretty cool. It looks more like a 90s UFO with like a shark fin attached onto it. I like it. I can't really complain. But it opens up, it attaches to the asteroid, it starts harvesting it, and then it goes back to the processor, which is this guy right here, and they dock into the back, which is pretty cool. And then after that, we have the phased probe, which is your probe that the Progenitors can build. A couple cool things about this baby. One, it can be moved more than once, mainly because of the fact the Progenitors are an AI faction. So there's an AI controlling this. They don't have to, strip down the entire ship and just give the absolute basic things so the ship can move somewhere and broadcast a signal. Nope, it works just like an AI. So I can do this. Oh yeah, and you can also do waypoints with the probe too, even though it won't do it. You can move it more than once. It can also cloak in case you need it to do that, to hide itself from enemy surveillance and all that fun jazz. But anyways, that's gonna do it for the Progenitors. I hope you guys enjoyed this. When it comes to difficulty, it depends on the type of player you are. If you're like me, who prefers playing defensively, I would say this is more of a medium difficulty race to get going. They take a while to build up to their stronger units, so you will have to defend your area until you get your research going and get your harvesters going and all that stuff. So as someone who plays defensively, that's not too difficult for me. If you're the type of person that likes to play really aggressive and likes to sneak around and try to sabotage the enemy, this is going to be a hard difficulty for you, because you have to remember, you have to learn to be patient with this faction and build up your resources and build up your technology so that you can unlock like the arsenal ship. You can do a lot of damage with the enemy if you can scout out the enemy and use the arsenal ship to try to snipe out their resources or snipe out their like frigates that are very far away. Or you can use the keeper to load a couple ships in and then use its invincibility ability to try to tank an oncoming enemy engagement, and then use like your frigates or whatnot to protect the keeper. There's a lot of interesting strategies you can use with this faction. And like I said, if you're defensive, you'll probably find this faction pretty easily. If you're aggressive, you'll find this faction a little bit difficult to master. But they are very powerful, and they can definitely turn the tide of war if you can get them down properly. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please leave a like if you did. If you like what I do, consider subscribing, and I will check you guys out in the next video. Hee. Just look at this little ion thing going around. So yeah, until next time, guys. If you want to check more, if you want to check out more stuff that I do have a second channel where we've been playing Tales of Arise. It's an amazing story-driven RPG, so come join me and we'll have some fun. But anyways, guys, if you until next time, this is Captain Soban signing out.
This is the Garden of Kadesh. For 13 generations we have protected it from the unclean. If you have come to join, we welcome you, and will spare you your ship until all have disembarked. If you have come to consume the garden, you will be removed at once. What are your intentions?